This podcast is a 98 Studios production.
Today's the day, baby.
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
Today's the motherfucking day.
Today is the day.
Today's the day.
Today is the day.
Today's the day.
Today with Zack Anderson. I'm excited to chat today, and go over I think something that'll help a lot of you guys, especially those of you guys that are out doing something really hard right now. If you're out selling in the summer, or whatever else you're trying to go and accomplish. And it's a question that got asked. I have an answer. A question that got asked to me for years and years and years, and I never knew how to answer the question. And I've talked about this before on podcasts, but one of the most frustrating things is when somebody that you want to be able to help asks you a question and you don't have an answer that you feel is sufficient, right? Like, how do I do this well? And before you know how to teach it, it's really frustrating. To know how to do something but not know how to teach it is really frustrating. So as I go on and as I do this job for longer and longer, I'm learning to answer these questions, and it's incredible. And being able to record these and then send them out and have you guys have them is honestly really, really cool for me and super fulfilling. But I remember this was about 5 years into my door-to-door career. I had gotten to the point where I was so confident in my sales ability. I was managing multiple teams. I had some really talented people under me. And I remember that at this point when this conversation happened, I was driving out to area. It had been a great summer personally. I was having one of my best summers personally. I was throwing down every day without a blip, and we were over halfway through the summer, and I was just doing my thing. I had my car group, and the group I was driving out, someone in my car was like, "Hey, like, when did this job get easy for you? Like, when did it get easy?" And then I sat back, and the question caught me off guard. I'm like, I was like, for a minute, I was like, did it get easy? And then my brain immediately went to all of the times where this job was so incredibly hard, even 5 years in. And I was like, well, I don't know if it really got easy. So I sat and I thought about that, and I tried to explain. I'm like, oh, dude, like, easy, it comes from just repetition and do it a lot and practice and train and everything else. And I didn't feel like that was a sufficient answer. And that was the answer I gave. And as I've sat over the years, as things have come up since that point in time, this job has gotten significantly harder at times than it ever was starting out. And then there's been times where it feels like I'm like floating and I'm coasting and it's amazing. I'm putting in this effort and it's all paying off. And it's like these seasons that come. And every time I was in one of those slumps of like, oh, I'm getting my ass kicked, this is way harder than it felt like it was last year. I always would think of this question this kid asked me, like, when did the job get easy for you? And I was like, well, it's not freaking easy. Whenever you're down in the dumps, it's easy to be like, oh, it's not easy. It's never easy. But that's not true. There's actually times where you're in flow and things feel really easy, and it's really easy to sell accounts and find accounts and progress accounts. And then there's times where it feels impossible. It feels impossible to go and find a win. And even though you're more experienced and better trained, have more knowledge and more information, and I've sat on this and I've thought about it, and it's been one of those like consistent things I've wondered how to answer. And just in the last 2 years, I've really come up with, okay, this is how to answer it. And it's a perfect one-liner that's like incredibly, incredibly valuable. And I'll give you some examples of how to go apply it. It's the simple fact that hard actions become easy if you're in the right state. I'm going to say it one more time. Hard actions become easy if you are in the right state. And I think the truth behind that is like, it's so monumental and it's so easily overlooked. And just to tell you my opinion on this and my belief is that this could not be more true. You can be going into the hardest, most challenging time of your life and situation of your life. But if you control your state, if you control how you show up in that moment, you can make those really hard actions or times become easy. And if you're about to do something really hard and you're about to go attempt to accomplish something and you're in a state of scarcity and fear, it's going to feel impossible and it will damn near be impossible. But if you're in a state of abundance and absolute certainty and confidence, it's going to feel easy. And it's a really interesting thing. So once I made this realization from this one line, I'm like, that's the answer. That's when the job got easy. The job was easy even my first year when I was just in a peak amazing state. And the job's the hardest when I'm in a poor state and I'm down on my luck and I'm looking for all the negative, I'm looking for the problems. Because the simple fact of anything hard in life, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're doing sales, anything that you're in, the simple fact is it's going to get really, really hard and there are going to be problems. And if you can learn to shift your focus to how can I control my state rather than how can I control my circumstances, you're going to go get so much more out of every experience in life and you're going to go accomplish more and you're going to have more fun doing it. And it's like, okay, well, like help me understand like what is my state? Like how do I have an amazing state, right? It's really simple. The way that I look at state is like it's your emotional home. We all have an emotional home we go to. We can go and leave and we can go outside of our emotional home and be really excited for a minute, but we always go back into our emotional home. And you get to control what your emotional home is. So if I'm choosing what my emotional home is and I know that it's going to help me go accomplish the things I want to accomplish, then I'm going to choose to have my emotional home be excitement, certainty, confidence, anticipation in a good way, curiosity, gratitude. And if I were to try and get the worst results and have the worst time doing it, I would choose to have an emotional home or a state of scarcity, uh, not being grateful, no belief in myself, fear. That's what I would choose as my emotional home. And when I came to like the realization of this concept, I'm like, holy crap, it's like our quality of life has nothing to do with our circumstances and the things that happen to us, or very little, at least I should say. I haven't experienced everything, but in my life, in my experience, my circumstances have very, very little to do with how I experience life and what I accomplish in life. And what has more of an impact than anything is how I show up, what version of myself I show up as, and what emotional home do I go back to, even when facing adversity. And it's like, okay, how do I control my emotional home? And it's two words. It's your focus and your psychology, right? Or I apologize, your physiology, your focus and your physiology. And what that means is your focus is what are you choosing to focus on? If you're trying to get to the emotional home or the state of gratitude and excitement and confidence, then choose to focus on everything you have to be grateful for. Choose to focus on every hard thing you've done in the past and you accomplished it even when you didn't think you could. Choose to focus on the fact that somebody else has accomplished what you're already trying to accomplish so you know it's possible. Choose to focus on the fact that you absolutely love yourself and you're a miracle. You're literally one of God's greatest miracles, even being alive. Choose to focus on those things. And then the next one is physiology. And physiology is moving your body. Like it's going to be very hard to change your emotional state if your body is just slumped in the couch and that's where you're sitting and you're trying to walk through this really positive focus, but you're laying on this couch that's just absorbing you and you're sitting there and there's no movement. Physiology controls so much of your emotional home and your state. And that's why so many people, they'll go and always write home about how great running is for them or working out or cold plunge or sauna or whatever else it may be because they're intentionally controlling their physiology. And my challenge to everybody, and as you hear this, hopefully this resonates, if you have any hard actions that you're coming up against, make sure rather than focusing on all of the possible negative outcomes or falling short or the fear of failure or anything else, choose to focus all of your energy on controlling your state. And then within your state, choose to focus on things you have to be grateful for, things you have to be excited for, the fact that other people have accomplished those things that you're up against. And then go and move your body. Go and make sure your physiology is on point and you're taking care of your body and you're moving your body. And it will make these really hard things so much easier. And I've practiced this my entire career. This is probably the thing that I give most of my attention to because I know how impactful it is for me. And if I approach something even in a neutral state, if my emotional home is very neutral, I never get the results I want. But if my emotional home and my state is just on cloud nine, I go and I dominate. And those are the times in my life when this job and hard things become easy. And outside of it, I don't know how else to control it. So that's my way of answering this question. That was a really hard question for me to answer for years and years and years. And I hope that's helpful for you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, much love until next time.